Hi everyone, welcome to another video looking at one of the key questions from the Edexcel November 2014 non-calculator paper. Here we're going to look at question number 8, and what's really important, but even before we look at the actual question and what it's asking us to do, is this asterisk here for QWC, Quality of Written Communication. So just remember, when you sit your real exam, that means that it's not going to be good enough just to write the correct final answer. You've got to have explained in a really clear and coherent way to the examiner, someone that doesn't know you and isn't going to give you any favours, what you did and how you did it to support the answer that you get at the very end. So the question we're looking at here is to do with geometry of straight lines. And one thing I always tell my students is to be looking out for with this, a key question, is this symbol here. Now this symbol denotes parallel, and lines that are parallel are lines that are always exactly the same distance apart throughout their whole length. And there's two very special types of angle that form when we've got sets of parallel lines, and they're known as F angles, which are the angles inside here, and also Z angles, which are the angles inside here. Now they're known as F's and Z's because that's the shape that they form, and that helps us identify them. But just as a reminder, you can't use F and Z when you talk to the examiner about how you found the angles. They're just kind of like a clue to help you find them. So we're told that GB is equal to GF, GB here and GF, and we can see they're also equal in the diagram because they've been annotated here as equal length sides. We're told that angle ABF, so it's good that they're using the correct notation there, we can model that, is 65 degrees. And then we're being asked to find the angle X over here. One of the things I always say with angles questions is try not to focus on the angle that you're being asked for, but kind of just work through it systematically, filling in any angles that you can, and you'll probably realise, a bit like a Sudoku problem I suppose, you'll get to the angle you're asked for just through the process of elimination. So let's start with, as I said to you a few moments ago, trying to look for any of these Z's or these F's, and it's always important to try and incorporate an angle in the question that's known. So I'm looking at this angle here of 65, and I'm trying to see if I can form an F shape or a Z shape with another angle in the diagram. And what I can see here, between points A and B, and then between points B and F, and then between points F and G, but I won't go all the way down there to G, I've got a Z shape. And the Z angles tell me that the interior corner angle here and the interior corner angle here are equal. So the first thing I'm going to write to the examiner is I'm going to say that angle BFG, so let's just look where that is, B to F to G, so this one here, equals 65 degrees because, and here's the key term coming up, because it's a Z, but what we say for Z angles is they are alternate to each other. Because it is alternate, oh, you don't have to write that in capitals in the exam, that's just me kind of making a point of it, because it is alternate to angle, and we've got to name this one, which we were told in the question is ABF. So there's our first mark. We've identified that this angle is 65 degrees and we've explained to the examiner how we know it. Now the next thing I can see in this diagram, just to switch to another colour here, is that here between points F, points G and points B I have a triangle, but more importantly, because of this information that we were given in the question earlier, it's an isosceles triangle. So in an isosceles triangle, two sides are the same length, but also the angles at the bottom of those same length sides, so we're talking about here and we're talking about here, so the base angles, although in the orientation of this triangle they're not actually the base, one of them's the top and one of them's the left hand side, base angles are equal. So what I'm now going to say to the examiner is that angle, and we're talking about this one here now, so FBG, so angle FBG equals 65 degrees because it is equal to angle, this one, BFG, as they are base angles in an isosceles triangle. So we're well on our way to filling in all of the angles in this diagram now. Okay, so if we know that this angle is 65 and we know that this angle is 65, then coming back to this triangle that I highlighted in red, we can now find this angle here. So, Mr. or Miss Examiner, I'm now going to tell you that the angle here, which we're going to call FGB, so angle FGB equals 180, because of angles in a triangle, subtract 65, because of this angle here, subtract 65 because of this angle here. So 65 and 65 is 130, take that away from 180, so it's 50 degrees. So angle FGB, this one here, is now 50 degrees because of angles in a triangle. So notice here, guys, I'm now not only explaining everything that I'm doing using the correct straight line geometry terms, but I'm also kind of laying it out in a really ordered way so the examiner can see what I did in what order and how I got to my solution. Finally then, we can now focus on x because we've got towards it by finding other angles, and here I have a straight line. And the straight line's been cut into two angles here, this 50-degree one that we've just found, and x that I want to find, and I know that angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So what I'm now going to say is angle x equals 180 because of angles on a straight line, subtract 50, which is the other portion of the straight line which I know, so 130 degrees, and I've got to tell the examiner how I did that. He can't just assume that I knew what I was doing because I kind of annotated it this way. Because of angles on a straight line summing or totaling to 180 degrees. So we've reached our final solution. X is 130 degrees, and we've explained and showed each stage of the working out along the way. Thanks for watching, everyone.